Dubai, United Arab Emirates, August 19, 2024, 9:47 p.m. The bodycam footage is grainy but unmistakable. Two Dubai police officers step through the unlocked door of a penthouse apartment on the 42nd floor of Marina Heights Tower. The first thing they see is blood. Dark, pooled on Italian marble flooring. Then they see her. A young woman, mid-20s, lying motionless near an overturned coffee table. Her eyes are open, staring at nothing. Petechiae dot her face like terrible freckles, the signature of strangulation. And sitting on a cream-colored sofa, completely calm, is a man. His hands are covered in blood. His designer Versace shirt is torn at the collar. "I killed her," he says before they can speak. His voice is hollow, emptied of everything except confession. "My brother knows why. Sir, I need you to stand up slowly and put your hands behind your back." Of course. The man complies without resistance. "I'm Elias Haddad. That's Celestine Arcega. I strangled her approximately 90 minutes ago. My brother Karim found me after. He called you." It would later be described by prosecutors as the calmest confession in Dubai's criminal history. No tears, no remorse, just a man stating facts, as if reporting the weather. This is the story of how identical DNA created completely different monsters. How love twisted into obsession. How a woman's choice between two men who shared the same face led to her death. And how 8 months before that blood-soaked confession, it all began with ambition, insecurity, and a nightclub in Jumeirah Beach residence. Rewind. 8 months earlier, January 2024. If you walked into Fusion Nightclub on any Thursday night in January 2024, you'd think you'd stepped into a music video. The bass vibrated through your chest cavity. Bottle service girls in glittering dresses navigated through crowds of Dubai's elite, carrying bottles of Grey Goose with sparklers attached, 30,000 dirhams a pop. The DJ booth overlooked a dance floor where Russian models danced with Saudi princes, where British expats threw money they'd never earned at home, where the air itself smelled like expensive cologne, imported champagne, and ambition. And presiding over all of it, like a conductor orchestrating chaos, was Elias Haddad. At 38 years old, Elias had the kind of presence that made people turn their heads before they even saw his face. 6'1", athletic build maintained by a personal trainer, always dressed in tailored suits that cost more than most people's monthly rent. His Patek Philippe caught the light from the club's crystal chandeliers with every gesture. "Mr. Haddad, the Russian table wants another 3 bottles. His floor manager, Ahmed, shouted over the music. "Give them 4, Elias replied without looking up from his phone, where he was responding to 3 different women simultaneously. "And send them the 2008 Dom." This was Elias's gift. He could read people, understand what they wanted before they knew themselves. It's what made Fusion the hottest nightclub in JBR, pulling in 70,000 dirhams on a slow night, 200,000 on weekends. But if you'd looked closer, if you'd caught him in those brief moments between the performance, you might have seen something else. The way his jaw tightened when his phone buzzed with a message from his mother. The way he checked his reflection in every mirrored surface, as if confirming his own existence. A memory flickered through his mind. He was 7 years old, standing in their family home in Beirut. His father had just returned from a business trip. Young Elias had come first in his class in mathematics, was bouncing with excitement to show the paper. Papa, look, I got the highest score." But his father's attention was already elsewhere, on Karim, who'd been helping their mother in the kitchen. "This one," Maroon said, ruffling Karim's hair. "He has the gentle heart. But you, Elias," finally turning to him, "you have the hunger. That's what makes winners." Even at 7, Elias understood. Karim was loved for who he was. Elias was praised for what he achieved. And he'd been achieving, competing, winning ever since. His phone buzzed with 3 messages from 3 different women. Elias smirked, typing quick responses to all 3, making each feel like she was the only one. This was his pattern. Pursue, conquer, grow bored, move to the next. He'd never been in a relationship longer than 6 months. Mr. Haddad, Ahmed interrupted. There's someone here for the interview. The events coordinator position. Already? It's only 9 p.m. She said the email said 9 p.m. sharp. She's been waiting 15 minutes. Punctuality. Elias appreciated that. Send her to the VIP lounge. He had no idea that the woman waiting for him would unravel everything he'd spent 38 years building. Celestine Arcega, who everyone called Seals, sat in the VIP lounge feeling completely out of place. At 26 years old, she had the kind of beauty that made people look twice. But she carried herself like someone who'd learned early that beauty could be as much a burden as a gift. She clutched her portfolio containing proposals for corporate events and a business plan she'd been too afraid to show anyone yet. The business plan was her real dream. Manila Lux, a Filipino cultural center in Dubai. Dubai had over 700,000 Filipino residents, the largest expatriate community in the UAE. But where was their cultural home? Where could they showcase that Filipino culture was more than domesticity and labor, but art, cuisine, literature, history? She checked her phone. 9:17 p.m. He was late. Her phone buzzed with a video call from home. She declined it, texting instead, "In a meeting, Mama. I'll call tomorrow morning." 7,000 miles away in Baguio City, her mother and 2 younger brothers in university depended on the $2,500 she sent home every month. Her father had died when she was 19. She'd graduated from University of the Philippines and immediately applied for jobs in Dubai. That was 4 years ago. 4 years of being the responsible one, the one who sacrificed, the one who didn't get to dream for herself. Celestine Arcega? She looked up. The man approaching was stunning. Tall, perfectly groomed, expensive everything. "Yes, Mr. Haddad. Thank you for seeing me." She stood, extending her hand. He took it, held it a fraction too long. "Call me Elias. Can I get you a drink?" "Water is fine, thank you." His eyebrow raised slightly. "Not a drinker?" "Not when I'm working." Something flickered across his face. "I like that. Professional." For the next 30 minutes, Seals presented her portfolio. Elias listened, but she noticed he was watching her more than her work. She'd experienced this before, men who confused professional interest with personal invitation. "Impressive," Elias said when she finished. "How soon can you start?" "I'd need to give my current employer 2 weeks' notice." "I'll pay you double to start Monday." It was more money than she'd ever made. Enough to send more home. Enough to start saving for her cultural center. "Thank you. I won't disappoint you." "I know you won't." His eyes held hers a moment too long. "Can I take you to dinner to celebrate?" And there it was. The shift from professional to personal. "That's very kind, but I have an early morning tomorrow. Perhaps we can discuss details during business hours." For a fraction of a second, something cold crossed his face. Then the smile returned. "Of course, professional. I respect that." But his tone suggested he'd taken it as a challenge rather than a boundary. Elias Haddad didn't understand the word no. So when Celestine Arcega politely declined his dinner invitation, something shifted in his brain. She went from potential employee to conquest. Over the next 3 weeks, he pursued her with overwhelming force. Week 1 started professionally, showing up at her office with champagne and a signed contract. Week 2 escalated with dinners at Nursery Tea, where he found her deepest dream and positioned himself as the only path to achieving it. "I could sponsor your cultural center," he said, showing her the TEDx Dubai submission she'd made months ago. Week 3 overwhelmed her completely. Helicopter rides over Palm Jumeirah, yacht parties with celebrities, shopping trips for professional clothes. Her friends were thrilled. "This man is clearly interested in you. He's successful, generous, handsome." Even her mother said, "Maybe this is God's provision, Anik." On February 14th, Valentine's Day, he showed up at her apartment with 24 roses. "I know you said you wanted to keep things professional," he said, "but I can't pretend anymore. I have feelings for you. Real feelings." Seals looked at the roses, at the accumulated weight of 3 weeks of pursuit, everyone's advice, her own exhaustion from resisting. Okay, she heard herself say. One date. His smile was triumphant. Later, she'd remember that smile and realize it wasn't joy. It was victory. The first month was exciting. 5-star restaurants, VIP sections, weekend trips to Abu Dhabi. But there were signs. Red flags she told herself weren't really red. He never asked about her dreams beyond superficial interest. When she tried to discuss her cultural center, he'd say, "We'll talk about that later." He was intensely jealous when male clients talked to her. He tracked her location constantly, insisted she share her phone with him for safety. The sex was scheduled, always at his apartment, always on his terms, always focused on his pleasure. By month 2, Seals realized the truth. She wasn't in a relationship. She was in a performance. He loved showing her off but didn't know her favorite color. He didn't know her mother's name. He didn't know she cried sometimes, missing home, feeling trapped. One night, she video called her sister Maricel. "I have everything. So why do I feel so empty?" "Maybe," Maricel said gently, "because you're not in love. You're in debt. He gave you everything. You feel obligated." Seals wiped her tears. She had no idea how to escape without losing everything. Her visa was sponsored through his company. Her income supported her family. Her dream dangled perpetually just out of reach. She was trapped, and she didn't even know there was another Haddad brother. One who would see her not as a trophy to own, but as a person to know. One whose identical face would reveal just how different two men could be. March 15, 2024. The twins' 38th birthday. Elias Haddad woke up in his Marina penthouse with 3 missed calls from his mother and a licensing crisis that threatened to shut down Fusion for the upcoming weekend. A surprise inspection by Dubai municipality had found ventilation code violations that needed immediate addressing, which meant an emergency meeting with contractors, lawyers, and the building management at 10 a.m. The same time he was supposed to pick up Dmitry Volkov from Burj Al Arab. Volkov was a Russian investor considering a partnership to expand Fusion into a nightclub chain across the UAE. This meeting was worth potentially 3 million dirhams. Elias couldn't miss it, but he also couldn't reschedule the licensing emergency. So he did what he always did when he needed something handled. He delegated. "Seals," he said when she answered her phone, her voice still heavy with sleep. "I need a favor." 20 minutes later, Seals was in her car, driving down Sheikh Zayed Road toward Burj Al Arab, practicing her pitch to a Russian nightclub investor she'd never met. Her hands were slightly damp on the steering wheel. This was high stakes. If she messed this up, Elias would be furious. And when Elias was furious, he withdrew, turned cold, made her feel like she was failing him. She'd learned to avoid that at all costs. The Burj Al Arab rose before her like a golden sail against the impossibly blue Dubai sky. Even after 4 years in this city, certain buildings still took her breath away. She handed her keys to the valet, checked her reflection in the lobby's mirrored walls, and approached the concierge desk. "Excuse me, I'm here to meet Dmitry Volkov. He should be expecting pickup." The man behind the desk looked up, and Seals's world tilted slightly on its axis. It was Elias. Same face, same height, same sharp cheekbones and dark eyes. But not Elias. The energy was completely different. Where Elias commanded attention, this man invited it. Where Elias's smile was calculated, this one reached his eyes. And his nameplate read, Karim Haddad. "You must be Celestine," he said, and even his voice was different. Softer, warmer. "I'm Karim, Elias's brother. Mr. Volkov is delayed about 20 minutes. Security check at the airport. Can I offer you coffee while you wait?" She stared, trying to reconcile the identical face with the completely different presence. "You're his twin, the less successful one, according to family consensus." He smiled, genuinely amused rather than bitter. "But yes, identical DNA, decidedly different life choices. Please have a seat. The coffee here is excellent." Seals found herself following him to a seating area in the lobby, her prepared pitch for Volkov completely forgotten. Karim returned moments later with 2 cups of Arabic coffee and an ease of manner that made her relax despite her nervousness. "Everyone calls me Seals," she said, accepting the cup. "Seals," he repeated, as if testing how the name felt. "Elias mentioned he's dating an events coordinator. He didn't mention you were brilliant." She blinked. "You don't know me. I saw your TEDx Dubai talk proposal in the hotel's event submissions a few months ago. We review them as part of our cultural programming partnerships. Reclaiming Filipino identity through diaspora culture. Beautiful concept. Why didn't they accept it?" Nobody, in the 2 months she'd been with Elias, had ever mentioned her TEDx submission. She'd assumed it had disappeared into the void like most rejections. But this man, this stranger who wore her boyfriend's face, had not only seen it but remembered it. They said it needed a sponsor. Someone with credibility in the business community. That's often the barrier, isn't it? Karim leaned back, his posture open and relaxed. The best ideas need gatekeepers to vouch for them. What inspired the cultural center dream? If you don't mind me asking. And there it was. The question Elias had never asked. Not once. Not when she tried to explain it over dinner. Not when she'd shown him her business plan. Not ever. "My Lola," Seals heard herself say. "My grandmother. She died 2 years ago before she could see me succeed. She used to tell me stories about Filipino history, about our culture, about being more than what others saw us as. I want to build something that honors her legacy, that shows the world Filipino culture is art and literature and cuisine and innovation, not just domestic work and nursing." Karim was quiet for a moment, and she worried she'd overshared. But when he spoke, his voice was gentle. "That's not a business plan. That's a love letter. And those are the best ventures, the ones built on love rather than profit." She felt tears prick her eyes and blinked them away quickly. "You're the first person who's understood that. I doubt that's true, but maybe I'm the first person who's said it out loud." He smiled. "You mentioned you're from Baguio in your proposal, the strawberry capital. Have you been to Temawan Village? The artist enclave. You know Baguio?" She was stunned. Elias couldn't locate the Philippines on a map. "I read a lot, and I traveled there about 5 years ago. The Philippines is incredible. Sagada's caves changed my life, actually. Made me realize that contentment isn't about accumulation. It's about presence." They talked for 15 minutes about the Philippines, about culture, about the difference between success and fulfillment. Seals forgot she was supposed to be nervous about Volkov. She forgot she was at a professional meeting. She just talked, and Karim listened, really listened, in a way she hadn't experienced in months. When Volkov finally arrived, the moment ended. Karim handed her his business card. "If you ever want to discuss your cultural center seriously, I know grant connections through the hotel's cultural foundation. I mean that your vision deserves support." Seals left Burj Al Arab an hour later, having successfully charmed Volkov and secured his interest in the fusion partnership. But her mind wasn't on the Russian investor. It was on the question that kept circling. Why does the less successful twin feel so much more substantial? That evening, Elias was in a good mood. The licensing crisis was resolved, Volkov was interested, and he'd closed a deal with a Lebanese supplier for premium alcohol at reduced rates. He ordered sushi to his apartment, expensive sake, and was scrolling through his phone when Seals arrived. "You did great with Volkov," he said, not looking up. "He texted me. Impressed. Thanks. I met your brother today." She said it casually, testing. Elias's head snapped up. His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "What did he say?" "Nothing, he was just nice. Helped me with the client while I waited." "Stay away from him." Seals blinked. "What? Why?" "He's always been jealous of what I have." Elias's voice had gone hard, cold. "He'll try to get close to you to get to me. It's what he does." He seemed genuinely kind. "I know my brother, Seals. He's bitter about my success, about my life. Don't trust him." It was the first time Elias had explicitly forbidden her from something, and the controlling tone made something in her stomach turn. But she dropped it, nodded, changed the subject. That night, after Elias fell asleep, she Googled Karim Haddad. The search results were illuminating. Volunteer work teaching English to migrant workers. Poetry published in Gulf News. Beautiful pieces about finding peace in simplicity. A TEDx talk he'd given 2 years ago titled The Contentment Paradox. Why less became more. The contrast with Elias's Instagram, all bottle service and models and material displays, was stark. She told herself to stop comparing. She was with Elias. Karim was off-limits, family, forbidden. But Karim's question haunted her as she lay in Elias's expensive sheets feeling completely alone. What inspired your dream? Elias had never asked. The following week, Seals's events company booked a corporate function at Burj Al Arab. She didn't have to attend personally, but she volunteered. She told herself it was professional networking. She told herself it had nothing to do with hoping to see Karim again. Seals. His face lit up when he saw her at the concierge desk. How did the Volkov meeting go? Did he commit? He remembered. Not just her name, but the context, the details. They talked for 10 minutes about the deal, and he listened like her professional victories actually mattered. I have something for you, he said, pulling a book from behind his desk. The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker. I thought you'd love it for your cultural center concept. I marked chapters one thought you'd find useful. Nobody had ever anticipated her needs like this. Elias bought her things, expensive things, but they were always things he wanted her to have. This was something chosen specifically for her dream. The next week, she manufactured another reason to visit. Coffee in the hotel lobby. They discussed the book, drifted into philosophy, into life purpose. Why aren't you managing nightclubs like Elias? She asked. Karim smiled. Success isn't volume, it's resonance. I'd rather touch one life deeply than impress 1,000 shallowly. That probably sounds naive to someone dating my brother. It sounds honest, she said quietly. By the end of March, Seals had created a mental list she was ashamed of but couldn't stop making. Elias talked at her. Karim asked questions and listened. Elias needed constant validation. Karim was secure in himself. Elias tracked her location obsessively. Karim trusted her autonomy. With Elias, sex was performative. With Karim, conversation felt more intimate than anything physical. She confided in Maricel during a video call. I feel guilty even thinking about him. You're not thinking about him, Maricel said gently. You're thinking about what's missing with Elias. That night at dinner, Elias was on his phone the entire meal. Seals tested him. I had a breakthrough on my cultural center today. That's great, babe, he said without looking up. I'm thinking of quitting my job to pursue it. Ma'am. He wasn't listening. Hadn't heard a word. She imagined telling Karim the same thing. He'd ask 10 questions, help strategize, celebrate her courage. She realized with devastating clarity. She was in the wrong relationship, but she was trapped. Elias sponsored her visa. Her family depended on her income, and leaving meant losing access to the one person who made her feel truly seen. What do you do when you realize you're dating the wrong twin? And worse, when you realize the right one is forbidden. Smash that subscribe button because this love triangle is about to get deadly. By April 2024, Seals had orchestrated her third corporate event at Burj Al Arab in as many weeks. She told herself it was strategic networking. She told herself Elias would appreciate her building relationships with luxury hotel management. She told herself it had nothing to do with the man behind the concierge desk whose smile made her feel more seen than her boyfriend's touch ever had. But Karim noticed. This is the third event this month, he said when she approached his desk, a knowing look in his eyes that made her feel exposed. You're either the most successful events coordinator in Dubai, or... She swallowed hard. Or what? Or you're finding excuses. The truth hung between them like smoke, visible but impossible to grasp. The lobby's air conditioning hummed. Somewhere behind them, a family laughed about their upcoming desert safari. And Seals stood frozen, caught in a lie she hadn't even admitted to herself. I should go, she managed. Wait. His voice stopped her. I need to say something. Then I'll never mention it again. Her heart was racing so fast she could hear it in her ears. Okay. I look forward to seeing you more than is appropriate. I think about our conversations when I should be working. When I'm helping guests, I'm wondering what book you'd recommend for their situation. When I see Filipino families, I imagine your cultural center and how it would serve them. He paused, and she could see the effort it took him to continue. I know this is wrong. You're with my brother. So I'm saying this once, then we keep everything professional. I have feelings for you. Real ones. Tears formed before she could stop them. Karim, you don't have to respond. I just needed you to know that if you ever feel with me what I feel with you, it's not in your head. It's mutual. But I won't act on it. Family loyalty matters more than happiness sometimes. He walked away, disappeared into the back office, left her standing in that golden lobby feeling like the ground had shifted beneath her feet. She drove home crying and couldn't explain why. Relief that she wasn't imagining the connection? Grief that it was impossible? Guilt that she wanted something that belonged to someone else? That night, lying next to Elias who was asleep after perfunctory sex that lasted 8 minutes, she texted Karim, "I feel it too, and I hate that I do." His response came 30 seconds later. Then we're both in hell together. April became May, and what started as a confession became something more dangerous. They established boundaries that felt safe but weren't. No meeting outside the hotel. No physical contact. No planning a future together. Just conversation. Just text messages deleted immediately after reading. Just this connection that felt more intimate than anything Seals had ever experienced physically. They texted daily. Philosophy discussions that stretched late into the night. Book recommendations that revealed their inner worlds. Karim wrote poetry and shared it with her, something he'd never done with anyone. On May 15th, he sent her a poem titled, "The Mirror's Other Side." In the mirror I see my brother's face, but behind my eyes lives different grace. She loves the reflection, not the man. How do I show her who I am? When DNA dictates we're the same. But souls bear different names? Seals read it sitting in Elias's bathroom, the only place she had privacy, and cried silently into a towel. She was falling in love. Had maybe already fallen. With her boyfriend's identical twin brother. With a man she'd never touched, never kissed, never held. But who knew her better than anyone ever had. They shared their deepest fears. Karim told her about growing up in his brother's shadow, about learning that love was conditional on achievement, about finding peace in letting go of competition. Seals told him about her father's death, about the weight of being her family's only hope, about dreams deferred so long they felt like fantasy. "I'm not cheating," she told Maricel during a desperate video call. "We haven't touched. We haven't even met outside the hotel." 8, Maricel said gently. "You're having an emotional affair. That's still betrayal. Maybe worse, because you're giving him your heart." Seals knew it was true, but she couldn't stop. The affair with Karim was the only joy in her increasingly hollow life. Meanwhile, Elias's mask was slipping. In May, Seals found a hotel receipt in his jacket pocket. The Four Seasons. A room he'd booked for 3 hours in the middle of a Wednesday. When she smelled perfume on his collar that wasn't hers, something inside her finally broke. "Are you seeing someone else?" she asked that night. Elias barely looked up from his phone. "It didn't mean anything. You're my girlfriend." "If it didn't mean anything, why did you do it? You're different. Those girls are just fun. You're serious. You're the one I introduced to my family." The double standard was staggering. She couldn't have male friends without interrogation, but he could sleep with other women because they didn't mean anything? She stayed anyway. The visa, the financial dependence, the fear of losing everything she'd built. But emotionally, she checked out completely. "You're a ghost in that relationship," Maricel observed during their next call. "I'm planning my exit," Seals said. "I just need to secure a new visa sponsor." But the truth was more complicated. She was staying because leaving Elias meant leaving Dubai, and leaving Dubai meant leaving Karim's orbit. The affair, such as it was, had become her lifeline. June 18, 2024. The night everything changed. Seals had attended an event at Burj Al Arab, and by coincidence or fate or careful planning neither would admit to, her departure coincided with the end of Karim's shift. They walked to the parking garage in silence, the weight of 3 months of restrained longing heavy between them. They stopped at her car. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Somewhere in the distance, a car alarm chirped. "I'm transferring," Karim said quietly, "to the Abu Dhabi branch. Next month." Seals felt the world tilt. "Why?" "Because I can't be near you and not want more. This is killing me, Seals. Seeing you, talking to you, then watching you leave to go back to him. I can't do it anymore. Don't go. Give me a reason to stay that doesn't destroy us both. I can't." Her voice broke. "I'm trapped with him. The visa, the money my family needs, they leave him." Karim stepped closer, close enough that she could see the pain in his eyes, identical to his brother's but filled with something Elias's never held. Genuine emotion. "I'll help you. I don't have his money, but I have connections. I'll find you a visa sponsor, a job, whatever you need. He's your brother, and you're the woman I love." It was the first time either of them had said it out loud. The words hung in the air like a confession and a question and a promise all at once. "Karim, we can't." He kissed her, or she kissed him. Later, neither could say who moved first. 30 seconds. Everything they denied for 3 months compressed into one moment of desperate honesty. His hands in her hair, her fingers gripping his shirt, the taste of coffee and longing and terrible, beautiful truth. They broke apart, both crying. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be." She touched his face, traced the features that looked like Elias but somehow weren't. "I wanted that. I've wanted that for months. What do we do?" "I don't know. But don't transfer. Please. Give me time to figure this out." They agreed it was one kiss, never again. They agreed he'd stay in Dubai. They agreed to maintain their boundaries. But both knew they were lying to themselves. The next 3 weeks were torture. Seals was consumed by guilt, tried desperately to make it work with Elias. But he was still cheating, still distant, still treating her like a possession rather than a partner. She texted Karim daily, couldn't stop, didn't want to stop. They began planning her exit. Karim connected her with a friend who ran an events company, willing to sponsor her visa. August 1st became the target date. After an appropriate period, after she'd established independence, then maybe they could be together openly. Maybe his family would eventually understand. Maybe. But the logistics were crushing. The new sponsor paid less. Her family depended on the money Elias helped provide. Her youngest brother's university tuition was due in September. Her mother's medication cost more each month. How could she choose love when duty demanded sacrifice? She was torn between the man who made her feel alive and the family who needed her to survive. Between the heart she'd found and the dreams she'd deferred. Between 2 identical faces and 2 completely different futures. The emotional affair was about to explode. And when Elias discovered the truth, blood would be the only language he'd speak. Subscribe now because the confrontation is coming, and nobody is ready for what happens next. July 5, 2024. Elias Haddad woke up with a hangover and a strange feeling that something in his carefully controlled world was slipping. Seals had been different lately, happier, which made no sense because their relationship had been deteriorating for months. She smiled at her phone. She hummed while making coffee. She mentioned book recommendations, and someone told me, without ever naming who. A healthier man might have asked himself why his girlfriend only seemed happy when she wasn't with him. But Elias's narcissism didn't allow for self-reflection. His brain went immediately to, "She's cheating. Someone is stealing what's mine." That morning, while Seals was in the shower, he picked up her phone. He knew her passcode. She'd given it to him months ago when he'd insisted on it for safety. He scrolled through her messages, found most conversations unremarkable. But then he saw it. A contact saved simply as K. The messages were sparse, most deleted, but a few remained. Thank you for understanding me. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. That poem destroyed me in the best way. Elias's hands started shaking. Who the fuck was K? He scrolled further, found a phone number but no name. His thumb hovered over the dial button. From the bathroom, he could hear the shower still running. He pressed call. 1 ring, 2 rings, then voicemail. This is Karim Haddad. I'm unable to take your call right now. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. The phone dropped from Elias's hand onto the marble floor. His brother. She was texting his brother. The room spun slightly. Karim's voice, so similar to his own but gentler, echoed in his head. He picked up the phone, deleted the call from history, put everything back exactly as he'd found it. When Seals emerged from the shower, towel wrapped around her hair, Elias was sitting on the bed scrolling through his own phone as if nothing had happened. Morning, she said, smiling that new smile he didn't recognize. Morning, he replied, and began planning his investigation. Over the next 5 days, Elias became a detective. He checked Seals's location history, the one she'd agreed to share with him months ago. The data was damning. Burj Al Arab, 14 visits in the past 2 months. He cross-referenced with her work calendar. Her company had only hosted 3 legitimate events there. She'd lied about the other 11 visits. On July 8th, he called Burj Al Arab's concierge desk, disguising his voice slightly. Is Karim working today? Yes, sir, concierge desk until 8 p.m. Can I transfer you? No, thank you. He hung up, checked Seals's location. She was there, right now, 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. Elias drove to Burj Al Arab, parked his Mercedes where he had a clear view of the lobby entrance through the gold-tinted glass. He waited, 47 minutes. Then he saw them, Seals and Karim at the concierge desk, standing too close. Her body language was completely different from how she was with him. Relaxed, open, laughing at something Karim said, a real laugh that reached her eyes. She never laughed like that with him. Not anymore. Maybe not ever. They talked for 45 minutes. They didn't touch, not once, but the intimacy was obvious in every gesture. The way she leaned toward him. The way he listened with his entire body. The way they seemed to exist in a bubble that excluded the rest of the hotel's golden opulence. When Seals finally left, walking to her car in the parking structure, she was glowing. Elias had never made her glow like that. The next evening, he followed Karim after his shift ended. Watched his brother drive to a modest apartment building in Dara, the kind of place Elias wouldn't be caught dead living in. Small, simple, probably cost 1/10 of what Elias paid for his Marina penthouse. He lives like a peasant, Elias muttered to himself. And she prefers him? The rage that had been simmering started to boil. July 11th. Elias remembered that the building manager of Karim's complex was a regular at Fusion. A Russian named Victor who spent 10,000 dirhams a month on bottle service. Elias called him. Victor, I need a favor. I left something at my brother's apartment. He's at work and I don't have a key. Can you help me out? 20 minutes later, Elias was inside Karim's apartment. It was exactly what he'd expected. Small, clean, filled with books. The furniture was modest but comfortable. Poetry collections lined the shelves. A desk faced the window overlooking Dara's less glamorous streets. What he found destroyed him. On the coffee table, The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker, Seals's bookmark inside. Her handwriting in the margins, notes about her cultural center dream. She'd been here, in his brother's apartment. Close enough to leave a book, to make notes, to exist in his space. Next to it, her hair tie, purple. She'd been looking for that for weeks. But the worst was in Karim's desk drawer. A notebook filled with poetry. 15 poems, none naming Seals directly, but all obviously about her. One titled Forbidden made Elias's vision blur with rage. I am my brother's mirror, but she sees through the glass. To the soul he doesn't possess. I am theft in human form, stealing what was never his to own. But how do I return what chose me? Chose him. She chose him. Deeper in the drawer, printed text messages. Karim had printed their entire conversation history, as if he wanted physical proof that it was real. Elias read everything. The emotional affair laid bare in black and white. The kiss confession. I'll remember that kiss forever. Plans for her visa change. And her words, the ones that would haunt him. I never loved Elias. I loved the stability. But with you, I love the man. Elias sat in his brother's modest living room for 2 hours, reading and rereading the evidence of his betrayal. His hands stopped shaking. His rage turned cold, calculating. He took photos of everything with his phone, careful not to disturb anything. Left the apartment exactly as he'd found it. Plan was forming. For the next 2 weeks, Elias watched them like a predator studying prey. He confirmed their pattern. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, SEALs would find reasons to visit Burj Al Arab. They'd talk at Karim's desk or in the lobby. They never touched in public, but the emotional intimacy was obvious to anyone who knew what to look for. She'd come home to Elias's apartment afterward, and he'd have sex with her, and she'd be absent. Physically present but mentally somewhere else. With someone else. With his brother. His internal monologue became a poisonous loop he couldn't escape. We're identical. Same DNA. Same face. Why does she want him? I have money, status, power. He has nothing. What's wrong with me? He stopped sleeping. Started drinking heavily. Alone in his penthouse at 2 a.m., staring at his reflection in the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the marina. His club staff noticed something was wrong. Ahmed asked if he was okay. Elias snapped at him, told him to mind his own business. Every night, Elias would stand in front of his bathroom mirror, studying his face. The same face Karim had. Identical DNA. But somehow, SEALs could tell the difference. Somehow, she looked at them both and chose the wrong one. Or the right one. Which meant Elias was the wrong one. Maybe I'm the defective twin, he whispered to his reflection one night, drunk on expensive whiskey that tasted like ash. Maybe I'm the mistake. This was narcissistic injury in its purest form. His entire identity, built on being superior to his brother, was shattering. If Karim could win without money, without status, without any of the things Elias had spent his life accumulating, then what was Elias? Nothing. Just a hollow performance of success. July 26th. Elias made his decision. If he was going to be humiliated, everyone would share his humiliation. He'd expose them publicly, in front of the family, destroy them both the way they destroyed him. He called his parents. I have an important family announcement about my relationship. Can everyone come to the house this Sunday? He called Karim. Brother, SEALs and I are getting engaged. I want you there for the family announcement. It would mean a lot. He told SEALs. We're meeting my parents officially Sunday evening. Wear something nice. None of them knew what was coming. None of them realized that Elias had stopped being the man who built nightclubs and became something far more dangerous. A man with nothing left to lose except his pride. And pride was the one thing he'd kill to protect. The confrontation you've been waiting for is here. When identical twins go to war over the same woman, only one truth emerges. Jealousy doesn't care about DNA. Hit that like button because what Elias does next will shock you to your core. August 3, 2024. 7 p.m. The Haddad family home in Arabian Ranches sat behind high walls and manicured gardens, a testament to decades of successful business ventures. Inside, the air conditioning hummed against Dubai's brutal summer heat. The dining table was set with Nadia Haddad's best china, the kind reserved for important occasions. Elias arrived first, carrying his laptop. Just some photos from our relationship I want to share, he told his mother, kissing her cheek. His father, Maroon, 68 years old with silver hair and the stern bearing of a man who'd built his fortune through discipline, nodded approvingly. His sister Rania, 40, married with 3 children, was already setting out dessert plates. Karim arrived 20 minutes later, nervous in a way he couldn't articulate. Something felt wrong. Elias had been too friendly on the phone, too insistent. But it was family. You showed up for family. SEALs arrived last, confused. An engagement announcement that required the entire family? It seemed excessive, too public, too orchestrated. But she'd learned not to question Elias's decisions without consequences. Dinner was awkward. Seals tried to make conversation. "Mrs. Haddad, your kibbeh is delicious. My grandmother used to make something similar. Soon you'll learn the recipe," Nadia replied, smiling. "Family tradition. Every Haddad bride learns." Seals felt sick. Karim, sitting across the table, wouldn't meet her eyes. They maintained careful distance, every micro-expression controlled. But Elias watched them like a scientist observing specimens, noting every moment of careful avoidance, every deliberate lack of eye contact. He knew. Oh God, he knew. After dinner, they moved to the living room. Elias set up his laptop, connected it to the large television mounted on the wall. "Thank you all for coming. I wanted you here for an important announcement about my relationship." Maroon settled into his leather armchair. "Let's hear it, son." Seals's heart raced. This didn't feel like a proposal. This felt like an ambush. "I'm not proposing," Elias said, his voice cold and controlled. "I'm exposing." "What?" Seals stood, confused. Elias pressed a button. The television screen filled with text messages. Her text messages. To Karim. Intimate conversations she thought had been deleted. Screenshots of their entire emotional affair laid bare for his family to read. The room went silent except for the hum of the air conditioning and Nadia's sharp intake of breath. "Thank you for understanding me. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. That poem destroyed me in the best way. I never loved Elias. I loved the stability. But with you, I love the man. Karim." Nadia's voice was barely a whisper. "This is your brother's girlfriend." "I can explain," Karim started. "Explain what?" Elias's voice rose. "That you've been fucking her behind my back? I have never touched her inappropriately." Karim stood, face flushed. "We kissed once. And we both regretted it immediately." "Elias, I'm sorry." Seals was crying now, mascara running. "Sorry." Elias turned to his parents. "She's been lying for months, meeting him at his hotel, planning to leave me. With my brother." Maroon's face had gone stone. "Karim, is this true?" "Yes, but there's context." "Context?" Maroon's voice boomed. "You betray your brother? Your family? For a woman?" Rania pointed at Seals. "How could you? We welcomed you." Seals stood, shaking. "You welcomed me like a show dog. Nobody asked what I wanted. Nobody asked if I was happy. I gave you everything." Elias shouted. "You gave me things. You never gave me you." Elias turned to Karim. "And you? You gave her what? Poetry? Conversations? Pathetic. I gave her what you couldn't." Karim's voice was steady despite the chaos. "Respect. Real intimacy. I saw her." "You saw her? You stole her. She was never yours to steal. She's not property. We're identical." Elias's voice cracked. "Why would she choose you?" Karim met his brother's eyes. "We're not identical, brother. We just look the same." The sentence landed like a physical blow. Elias staggered back as if struck. "What does that mean?" His voice was breaking now, the performance crumbling. "It means looks aren't everything. It means success isn't money. It means—" Karim turned to Seals. "Tell him." Seals wiped her tears. "You never knew me, Elias. You knew the version of me that fit your life. Karim knows my soul." Maroon stood, his judgment absolute. "Karim, you have disgraced this family. I fell in love, father. Is that disgrace? With your brother's woman?" "Yes." Nadia turned on Seals. "You seduced both my sons." "I seduced no one." Seals's voice rose. "I was looking for connection and found it in the wrong place at the wrong time." "You're a homewrecker," Rania spat. "There was no home. Just a prison." Elias addressed his parents. "See? She admits it. She used me. For visa money." "I'm not denying I stayed longer than I should have," Seals interrupted. "But I stayed hoping you'd change. Hoping you'd see me. You never did." Karim faced his brother. I'm sorry I hurt you. Truly. But I'm not sorry I love her. You love her? You barely know her. I know her favorite book, her grandmother's name, her fear of failing her family, her dream of cultural preservation. Shut up, Elias screamed. You don't know any of that, do you? Karim's voice was gentle, pitying. You knew her dress size but not her mother's illness. You knew her body but not her heart. The silence was devastating. Elias couldn't answer because it was true. Did you ever love me? Elias asked Seals, his voice small. Or was I just practice until you found him? I did love you, she said quietly. But you never really saw me. I gave you everything. You gave me things. He gave me himself. And that's the difference you'll never understand. Maroon's voice was final. Karim, you are no longer welcome in this house until you end this thing. It's not a thing. I love her. Then you choose her over family? Karim paused, looked at his father, then at Seals. I choose honesty over performance. Get out. Maroon, he's our son. Nadia tried. He betrayed his brother. He's chosen. Get out. Karim turned to Elias one last time. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. But I can't apologize for loving her. Elias's voice was ice. Get out. Seals addressed Elias. I'll pack my things tonight. Don't bother. I already threw them out. My passport? My documents. At the reception desk of your office building. We're done. Karim touched Seals's arm gently. Stay with me tonight, until we figure this out. Of course. Elias laughed bitterly. Run to him. That was always the plan. This family is broken, Nadia sobbed. Because of them. Rania pointed at Karim and Seals. No, Karim said quietly, taking Seals's hand. We were already broken. We just revealed the cracks. They left together. Elias stood at the window, watching them drive away in Karim's old Toyota, and his face wasn't rage anymore. It was empty, hollow, like someone had scooped out everything inside and left only a shell. August 4th through 15th, 2024. Elias's mental state deteriorated with terrifying speed. For the first time in 15 years, he called in sick diffusion. He locked himself in his Marina penthouse, curtains drawn against the brutal Dubai sun. He drank expensive whiskey that tasted like nothing. He didn't eat. Food turned to ash in his mouth. He didn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw them together. Karim touching her, kissing her, having what was his. He talked to himself, muttered conversations with people who weren't there. Everyone knows. The whole Lebanese community is laughing. Elias the cuckold, betrayed by his own twin. His phone showed 47 missed calls from Karim. Voicemails apologizing, trying to explain, begging to talk. Elias deleted them all without listening. Social media was torture. Friends messaging. You okay, man? Heard about your girl. The humiliation was public. Complete. He stood in front of his bathroom mirror, staring at his reflection. Why wasn't I enough? We're identical. He punched the mirror. It shattered. Blood ran down his knuckles, dripped onto the white marble. He didn't feel it. If I can't have happiness, he whispered to his broken reflection. No one can. Plans formed in his fractured mind. Not rational plans. Rage plans. Plans written in blood and justified by wounded pride. The breaking point has arrived. When a narcissist's ego shatters, violence is the only language left. What Elias does next will haunt everyone who survives. Subscribe because the murder is about to happen, and nothing can stop it. August 18th, 2024. 3 days after the family confrontation that destroyed the Haddads. Seals woke up in Karim's small Dara apartment to sunlight streaming through curtains that didn't quite close all the way and the smell of Arabic coffee brewing. For the first time in months, she felt something that resembled peace. Her phone buzzed. A text from Elias. Need to talk. Like adults. Please. I want closure. She showed it to Karim, who was bringing her coffee in a chipped mug that somehow felt more precious than all of Elias's expensive dishware. Should I go? She asked. Not alone. It's not safe. He's hurt, not dangerous. You don't know that. Karim set down the coffee, his face serious. I don't trust him when he's cornered. I owe him a final conversation. Respectfully. They were building something real. Her visa transfer had been approved. She'd start her new job September 1st. Every morning, Karim wrote her poetry on scraps of paper he left by the coffee maker. They talked for hours about her cultural center, about his volunteer work, about a future that felt possible for the first time. The next morning, August 19th, Elias texted again. Please, I'm not angry anymore. I just want to understand. Talk calmly. My place. 8 p.m. tonight. I've accepted it. Seals wanted closure too. Needed it. I'll go. Just talk. Then we can all move forward. I'm coming with you. That'll make it worse. Karim, trust me. I'll be in and out in 30 minutes. I'll text you every 10 minutes. If you don't hear from me, come. He agreed reluctantly, his anxiety a living thing in the small apartment. 8 p.m. Seals stood outside the door of Elias's Marina penthouse, the place that had been her prison disguised as paradise. The door was unlocked. Come in. His voice called from inside. She entered cautiously. The apartment was dark except for candles scattered across every surface. Photos covered the walls, all of them together, their relationship documented like a shrine or a crime scene. The air smelled like whiskey and something else. Desperation. Elias. He emerged from the bedroom. She could smell the alcohol before she saw him. His eyes were red, his hair unwashed, his expensive clothes rumpled. You came. You said you wanted to talk. Did you ever love me? Or was I just practice until you found him? They'd had this conversation already, at his parents' house, in front of his family. But she answered again gently. I did love you, but you never really saw me. I gave you everything. You gave me things. He gave me himself. We're identical. His voice was breaking. Same DNA. Same face. Why him? You're not identical where it counts. Your souls are different. My soul is wrong? The question was childlike, wounded. No, just different. Elias, I'm sorry I hurt you. I never meant to. You're not sorry. His voice hardened. You're happy. I see it. You're glowing. I am happy. And I'm sorry that hurts you. But I can't apologize for finding love. With my brother. With a person who sees me. I saw you. You saw a reflection of your success. I was a trophy. And what are you to him? A charity case. He makes nothing. Lives in a shit apartment. What does he offer? Himself. That's enough. That's when she saw his expression change. Rage melting into something colder, more dangerous, predatory. I should go. Not yet. Elias, we said what needed to be said. No, we haven't. He stepped between her and the door. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. You destroyed me. I didn't. Yes, you did. My family hates him now. Everyone's laughing at me. I'm the joke. The twin who couldn't keep his girlfriend. She backed away. Elias, please. You were mine. I found you. I gave you everything. And you chose him. He lunged. His hands found her throat. She fought back, scratching his face, his neck, his hands. They struggled across the living room, knocking over candles, scattering photos. She broke free, ran for the door. He caught her hair, yanked her back violently. She fell, hit the coffee table, felt something crack. Then he was on top of her, hands around her throat, squeezing. Why wasn't I enough? He was crying while strangling her. Why? 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 She couldn't breathe, clawed at his hands, vision blurring. Her last thought was Karim's name, an apology she couldn't voice. For minutes, her body went limp. He kept squeezing, making sure, his tears falling on her still face. When he finally released her, sat back, his hands were shaking. Seals's body lay motionless on his Italian marble floor. No, 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 no. What did I do? 8:37 p.m. Karim checked his phone for the fourth time. No text from Seals in 40 minutes. He called. No answer. Her phone was off or broken. Panic rising, he called Elias. No answer. He was in his car before conscious thought, driving too fast toward Marina, running red lights, praying to a God he'd stopped believing in years ago. 15 minutes that felt like hours. He ran into the building, elevator to the 42nd floor, found the apartment door unlocked, stepped inside, saw Seals's body on the floor, blood from where her head had hit the coffee table. Her eyes open, empty. No, no, Seals. He ran to her, checked for a pulse he knew wouldn't be there, cradled her body, crying, his world ending. What did he do? What did you do? He looked up. Elias sat on the couch, hands covered in blood, staring at nothing. She's gone, Elias said, his voice empty. You killed her. She chose you. So you murdered her? I didn't mean to. I just wanted her to understand. Karim pulled out his phone, called police, his voice breaking. Yes, I need police and ambulance. Marina apartment, 42nd floor. My brother killed his girlfriend. She's dead. Please hurry. He stayed with Seals's body until police arrived, whispering apologies she couldn't hear. Elias didn't move, didn't resist. When police entered, he confessed immediately. I did it. It was me. He didn't do anything. I killed her. The trial was swift. Forensic evidence was overwhelming. Elias's skin under Seals's fingernails where she'd fought back. His fingerprints on her neck matching the bruising pattern. Text messages showing premeditation. Dr. Rania Khalil, the forensic psychologist, explained to the court, Elias's entire identity was built on being the successful twin. When Celestine chose Karim, it wasn't rejection of an individual. It was rejection of his entire constructed self. This cognitive dissonance, combined with public humiliation, triggered narcissistic rage that culminated in murder. The defense argued temporary insanity. The prosecution proved premeditation. The jury deliberated 4 hours. Guilty. First-degree murder. 25 years in UAE prison. The judge's statement was damning. The defendant's inability to accept that someone preferred his brother is not a defense. It's a manifestation of extreme narcissism that led to calculated murder of an innocent woman. The irony emerged during investigation. Elias had been cheating on Seals with 3 women throughout their relationship. His jealousy had been projection. He'd killed her for emotional infidelity while committing actual infidelity. The aftermath rippled outward like shockwaves from an explosion. Elias became a pariah even in prison, spending 23 hours daily in isolation. His family cut him off completely. His mother Nadia blamed Seals, saying she'd seduced both sons. His father Maroon disowned him. The family never spoke again. His parents divorced over the conflict. Karim left Dubai immediately after the trial, moved to Montreal, worked as a translator. He never dated again. Published a poetry collection titled The Mirror's Other Side, dedicated to Seals. Spent his life speaking about domestic violence prevention, carrying guilt he couldn't shake. If I hadn't loved her, she'd be alive. In the Philippines, Seals's mother suffered a nervous breakdown she never recovered from. Her brothers quit university, couldn't afford tuition without her income. The blood money, 800,000 dirhams, couldn't replace their sister. They created the Celestine Arcega Migrant Worker Protection Fund, helping Filipino workers escape abusive relationships. The case sparked reform. Justice for Seals became a rallying cry. Dubai implemented visa changes allowing domestic abuse victims to switch sponsors without employer permission. 47 Filipino women escaped abusive relationships the following year using Seals's law. Netflix produced a documentary. Seals's sister Maricel wrote a memoir. Psychology courses studied narcissistic rage and twin dynamics. But none of it brought her back. The police bodycam footage that opened this story plays one final time. Elias sitting calmly in blood-soaked clothes. Why did you do it? The officer asks. Because she loved him instead of me. And we're identical. If she loved him, it meant something was wrong with me. I couldn't live with that. So you killed her? I killed the proof that I was the wrong twin. The screen fades to black. Text appears, Celestine Arcega, 1998 to 2024. In loving memory of all women killed by men who claimed to love them. This is the story of how identical DNA created completely different souls. How insecurity masqueraded as love. How possession was mistaken for passion. Celestine Arcega was 26 years old when she died. She had dreams of cultural preservation, of honoring her grandmother, of building something meaningful. Instead, she became another statistic in the global epidemic of intimate partner violence. Elias Haddad will spend the next 25 years in prison, asking himself the same question, why wasn't I enough? The answer he'll never understand. You can't love someone you don't see. And he never saw her at all. If the story affected you, please like, subscribe, and share. But more importantly, if you or someone you know is in a controlling relationship, there are resources. Love should never feel like a cage. And choosing yourself is never betrayal. It's survival.